This is a short presentation about using sources and what you'll do with the sources you find to use in your writing projects. Our goal is that you'll become careful, ethical, and intentional user of sources, but we believe that you can only do this if you develop a deep understanding about how you use sources and why you might want to use them. We draw heavily in this presentation on the ideas from a book by Joe Harris called Rewriting: How to Do Things with Texts. One key move that you can make with source texts, according to Harris, is to forward the source and its ideas. When you forward, you take the words, images, or ideas from the source, and then you put them to use in new contexts. You test the strength of the source's insights and the range and flexibility of its phrasings. In a sense, you rewrite the source when you use it by reusing some of its key concepts and phrasings in a new context. You can forward in a number of ways. One way is to illustrate. You look to other texts for examples of points you want to make. Or you can use your sources to authorize your own point. You invoke the status or expertise of other authors to support your thinking. You can borrow, drawing on terms or ideas from other writers to use in thinking through your subject. And you can extend the arguments of your source by putting your own spin on the terms and contexts or concepts that you take from other texts. Another opposing strategy, different from forwarding, is countering. When you counter a text, you try to develop a new line of thinking that responds to the limits of other texts, that is, the limits of your sources. Countering usually involves close attention to the specifics, the structure and phrasings of the source. To counter, you can argue the other side. This means that you could take up a term or an idea that the writer of your source has criticized, and instead you can show that it is useful. Or you can show the problems with an idea that your source has argued in favor of. You can uncover the values of the source that you're working with by bringing to the surface a word or an idea or a concept and analyzing it, an idea that perhaps your source has left undefined or unexamined. You can also dissent from your source by identifying a shared line of thought on an issue in order to note its limits. Williams notes that countering moves are easier to make with force than with grace. He points out that when you try to differ from your source, it can be challenging to do it in a pleasing or civil way, and he notes that the only way to do it really is to move from the limits of the source that you're countering to your own thinking or proposal. That way you're not just badgering and beating up on the source. You're showing why the limit of the source leads to your thinking and even creates the space for your thinking or proposal to take shape or form. In the profile, there are a number of ways to use sources. You can use sources to create context for the experience of the subject of your profile, context and background. And since your profile connects with an issue that you're investigating, sources can help you connect the person who is subject of the profile more closely and logically with the issue at hand. Your sources can be very valuable as you work in this genre. We want to encourage you to use the notebook prompts as a way of exploring your sources. Here are a few that specifically invite you to focus on your sources. Ransack, though, that list of notebook prompts and see if there's some others that might help you to investigate your sources, play with them, and help you come up with ways to use them. Our goal is to help you become a more enterprising, savvy, and more powerful user of your sources, all semester long and in the future.